Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we are diving deep into the Amber Gibson story. Her life was tragically cut short by her own brother, who sexually assaulted and then strangled her to death. Rest in peace, Amber Gibson, taken from this world way too soon. Only 16 years old, she was led to a woodland on the outskirts of Hamilton, South Lanarkshire, Scotland, by her own brother Connor Gibson before he attempted to rape her. Connor tore away his little sister's clothes before sexually assaulting her. He then repeatedly caused blunt force trauma to her head before strangling her. The siblings, they spent their lives in foster care together after escaping their violent father, who would savagely beat their mother till she was black and blue. Connor said to his foster parents, Carol and Craig Niven, "We are safe," when he and his sister were placed in their care at the young ages of 5 and 3. For Amber, that safety was short-lived. Let's go ahead and dive into what we know in the case of Amber Gibson. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Friday, November 26, 2021 at 9:51 p.m. Excited to see her brother, Amber messaged a friend a selfie through Snapchat that was captioned, "My big bro." The two did not live together, with Amber living in the Hill House Children's Home and Connor staying at the Blue Triangle Homeless Hostel in Hamilton. That Snapchat selfie was the last time anyone heard from Amber. 4 minutes after sending that message to a friend, CCTV shows Amber and her murderer walking side by side on Cadscow Street in Hamilton, South Lancashire. Only 2 minutes later, that CCTV captured an image of the pair again on a nearby bridge shortly before Amber's life was mercilessly taken. Connor murdered his sister in a nearby park of blank. After Connor murdered his sister, then he was seen walking alone along a bridge in Hamilton at 11:42 p.m. He was then seen again at 11:44 by that CCTV on a nearby street. He can also be seen slumping along a fence for a few seconds on a darkened pavement. Evidence found on a phone where Connor was living sent a message into a Snapchat group with 5 other people, and the message said, "I'm really going to need you guys' help with something when you guys come back. I'm being serious." A message was sent to Amber 40 seconds later through the app that it read, "Are you okay?" Connor, he came back to his hostel in the early hours of the morning and went into an office. Project worker Suzanne Duddy said he looked like he had fallen into a ditch. She said he looked very disheveled, out of breath. His hands were very, very dirty up to his wrist. I asked, was he okay? But he did not answer. He later told Miss Duddy that he had fallen out with his sister and wanted to use the phone to check that she had returned back to her care home safely. He then tried to dispose of evidence connecting him to his sister's murder. He changed his clothes, threw away his shorts and t-shirt. At 1:33 a.m., the user of the phone found in Connor's residence sent another message to the Snapchat group which said, "Never mind, it's all good." Sometime between late Friday and Sunday, during the 2 hours following Amber's murder, her body was discovered in the southeast Glasgow woodland by Stephen Corrigan. Instead of contacting the police, he inappropriately touches and then hides Amber's body. Corrigan he was found guilty of attempting to defeat the ends of justice and breach of the peace. He is not said to be known to Connor according to the court. On Sunday, November 28th, around 10:10 in the morning, Amber Gibson's body was discovered. Her body was discovered in Cadscow Glen, Hamilton, South Lanarkshire. And at that time, a large area of the park was closed off by police and Cadscow Street was closed by police. The following Monday morning, police confirmed that that body was that of Amber Gibson. Let's dive a little deeper into what we know about Amber Gibson. Rest in peace, Amber. Taken from this world way too soon. When Amber Gibson and her older brother Connor were removed from their abusive family household at the young ages of 3 and 5, the little boy had declared they were finally safe. No more would they witness their father beating their mother till she was black and blue, dragging her by the hair, putting his hands around her throat. But Amber's safety was tragically short-lived, and her own brother proved to be the biggest threat to it. A jury has now found him guilty of murdering and sexually assaulting her. It emerged that his natural father was jailed for 10 years only months ago for a litany of violent sexual crimes. Now, the child who witnessed his merciless attacks is behind bars too, awaiting a life sentence. By the time she was murdered, his blameless sister had spent almost all of her life in the care system and had already been a victim of rape. Now, in a sickening attack, her own brother had torn at her clothes with the intent to rape her before going on to strangle her. And in a revolting postscript to her bleak demise, even the first person to find her dead harbored twisted motives. That is the tragic life that Amber Gibson was forced to live. Happening on her by chance, Stephen Corrigan touched her inappropriately before hiding her body. Amber's foster parents, Craig and Carol Niven, shared after he was convicted. They shared about Amber that she was the most giving, caring, loving, supportive, and admirable person who had the most amazing outlook on life. She loved art and singing, yet the couple said she was let down throughout her life by the system. The story begins on New Year's Day 2005 at Wishaw General Hospital in Lanarkshire, where her brother and eventual killer had been born 2 years earlier. Her parents, Peter Gibson, and much younger partner Anne Marie, are believed to have met online, and by the time Amber arrived, a pattern of abuse was well established. At their home in North Berwick Crescent, East Kilbride, Gibson inflicted appalling violence on the mother of his children, punching her in the face and kicking her in the body. This was anywhere between August 2001 and August 2007 that this continuously happened. The children were taken out of their parental home and put into care, and in 2008 the Nivens were approached to look after the pair in another Lanarkshire town. Amber and her brother moved into their Larkhall home, but concerns about the older siblings' behavior soon arose. At his foster son's trial, Mr. Nivens said that he would not leave the children in each other's company as they were not a good mix. For a time, they attended separate schools. Amber went to Morehouse Academy around 25 miles away in West Lothian's Bathgate, while her brother was a pupil at Care Campus in Blantyre, Lanarkshire, a secondary school for those with social, emotional, and behavioral needs. Former school friends described him as a loner who was prone to sudden fits of rage. One classmate said he would talk about killing other pupils, which, to be fair, I saw as an over-exaggeration, but looking back at it now, maybe the stuff he said wasn't exaggeration at all. Another former student described him as a disgusting human who threatened to rip her baby from her while she was pregnant. Ultimately, the foster care arrangement broke down and Amber moved into Hamilton-based Hill House Children's Unit when she was 14. Her brother remained with the Nivens until his 18th birthday in 2020. It was while in the care of the state that Amber was raped by 20-year-old Jamie Stars, who attacked her in June of 2021 after being released on bail for another sex attack. At the time of her murder, her brother was a resident at Hamilton's Blue Triangle Project, a hostel for homeless youngsters in Lanarkshire, while she was living at the Hill House unit. Angel McKean, who was a friend of Amber's there, said the siblings' relationship was turbulent. But she said when she last spoke to Amber, hours before she was killed, she had been looking forward to seeing her brother. Care home manager Ian Curry said Connor Gibson called the Hill House unit to speak to his sister on the day she was killed. A short time later, Amber left with him. Despite Mr. Curry's attempts to discourage her from doing so, she was never seen alive again. 4 days later, Gibson wrote a tribute to his sister on social media. Amber, you will fly high for the rest of time. We all miss you. You, especially me. I love you, Ginger. Gone but not forgotten. XX. That's what he wrote. Hours before he was arrested for her murder, he shared another post in which he urged townsfolk to leave a light on for Amber. We would find out at the end of the trial that while Connor Gibson was awaiting trial for murder, that his natural father was jailed for physical and sexual abuse. And the High Court in Glasgow heard how he raped a woman in East Kilbride after tying her up and blindfolding her. He also grabbed this victim by the neck, restricting her breathing. Peter Gibson was also convicted of indecently assaulted a young boy and punching and kicking him to his injury. Other convictions included lewd and libidinous behavior towards another boy. Foster parents, Mr. and Mrs. Niven, were in court to hear the guilty verdict on their former foster son. And in a statement they said when they arrived at her home, Amber was 3 and Connor aged 5. And Connor stated, "We are safe." They were until he took the safety away. They added, Amber deserved to live a life of hope and opportunities. As a family, we will never be able to get over how this was taken from her. We are relieved the people involved in what happened to her are now behind bars. Jurors would hear that the siblings had been in foster care together and had latterly been living apart. Amber, she had been excited to catch up with her older brother on the night of November 26, 2021, and as I shared, even sent a selfie to a friend captioned, "My big bro," hours before he fatally attacked her. CCTV shows that before the killing, Connor walking side by side with Amber down a pavement, and footage from later on catches Connor walking home alone before stooping over for several seconds by a fence, looking exhausted. The forensic pathologist who carried out the post-mortem examinations on Amber's body told the court that she was found covered in mud and the cause of death was compression of the neck. Jurors also heard other forensic evidence that widespread blood staining on Connor's jacket was compatible with Amber, and his DNA was also found on her shorts worn as underwear, which had been forcibly torn off. In court, it is revealed that Corrigan does not know Connor. And Corrigan, he denied the charge and had lodged a special defense of alibi. You see, his father, William Corrigan, told the court that his son was at his home in Blantyre, South Lanarkshire that weekend after a fall on ice left his arm in a sling and denied lying to protect him. And in court, Corrigan told police that he was at a complete loss to explain why his DNA was found on 39 areas of Amber's body, including her breasts, buttocks, and thighs. Lord Mulholland, the judge, remanded Gibson and Corrigan in custody after the jury verdicts came in. They were both found guilty. Turning to Gibson first, he said, "Your sister, the last person she saw was you strangling her. It was depraved. You will pay a heavy price for that." The judge then told Corrigan, "You have been convicted of 2 horrific crimes. You came across a young girl who had been strangled to death and was naked. Instead of alerting the authorities, you handled her body and your DNA told the story. Be under no illusion what is also coming your way." Neither of the 2 men showed any emotions as they were taken handcuffed to their cells. An investigation into the support that the murdered teenager Amber Gibson received in the months before her death is expected to deliver its findings imminently. You see, the vulnerable teenager was living at a children's unit in South Lanarkshire when she was sexually assaulted, battered, and strangled by her older brother Connor Gibson. And so an independent review into the social work department responsible for looking after Amber has been probing her care and whether anything could have been done to prevent her killing. You see, relatives of the 16-year-old accused social services of having blood on its hands. A source from the extended biological family said that social workers from South Lanarkshire Council has blocked their maternal grandparents' efforts to have the children stay with them. Foster parents said that her murder could have been prevented, saying both she and her killer had been failed by the care system. This is truly a tragic case. Could it have been prevented? Well, number one, if her brother wasn't a freaking lunatic, I guess. But mental health problems are real. What led to this? We don't know. Watching his dad abuse his mom all those years, that could be some of it. Sometimes a person has it in them to say, I don't want to be like that. I don't know that people can avoid what they're experiencing, what they're feeling. It truly does seem like a serious thing. This guy will most likely spend the rest of his life in prison.